Mike in Detroit. We're continuing this little series we got going on. We're working out. We went to the gym. We went to the Chord voicing gym. And this is pretty important because a lot of people can play a chord, but they just don't have it on what I call lock. They don't, in other words, they haven't done enough reps and done their gym workouts. So this is not about songs. This is all about developing your musical muscle. So far we have done major chords, we've done minor chords, so today we are going to tackle dominant chords. And dominant chords, that's a big subject. That's a big subject, so we're not going to cover it all, because there's all kind of ways that you can voice these dominant chords. But you're going to leave here with some things you can go to the gym and work out on. Let us take a G dominant, since we want to, do the key of C. So remember, if I say a dominant chord, most of the time, I mean the 5 chord in that key. So let's take the key of C. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have arrived on G. So let's build that dominant chord. So we have root 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. Those are the notes that we're working with. Oops, I got it. Root, third, fifth, 7. It's a flat 7 from the key perspective. From G's perspective, it's dominant means flat. A triad with a flat 7. Then let's add the 9, the 11, and the 13. Now, dominant chords create tension, and that's their purpose. They sound funny, you play by themselves. If you played that chord and you left the piano, somebody's going to throw drumsticks at you. Because they want to go somewhere. They want to go to resolve. They need resolution. Now, the more you twist them up, I guess the sweeter the resolution is. Let's look at that G7 chord again. Looks like A minor over G7. So I made a video. A lot of these dominant chords can be hacked, like little tricks, like this A minor over G7, or this F major over G. You can hack these. So you separate some people call this upper structure word, upper structure triads. But that's a whole nother subject. What you want now is some voicings you can take to the gym. But before I get there, most of the time you look at the root, you're going to probably leave that alone. The third, you're going to leave that alone. The 7th, you're going to leave that alone, because that defines the chord. Those are called shell voicing. You hear that, you know it's a G7. It's naked, but it's the shell of those. So you leave those alone. You don't twist those up too much. But the 5th and the 9th, oh, you could do all kind of things with that. So let's take a G down here and play shell, right? So there's the 3rd, and there's a 7. Those are the shells. Those are, by the way, those are called tritones too, by the way. So we can play, as long as we got the shell in there some kind of way, let's do this. So we can play that with a flat 5. We can play that shell with a sharp 5. And sharp 5 wants to resolve to, in this case, G7 is going to C. So let's find that shell again, and let's try with a flat 5. It works. So find the fifth of any dominant chord, it can be altered to either a sharp 5 or a flat 5. So the ninth as well can be altered. Let's find our shell voicing again. Let's do a sharp 9. And that too can resolve. Okay, how about a flat 9? There's the 9. Let's do a flat 9. Usually that resolves down, but it could resolve up. So the normal, and also 13ths are as well. So let's find the 13th. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13th is E. Sometimes you'll see a flat 13th. Let's find our shell again. Let's try that. Especially if you're going to resolve to some kind of 9. So I took that 13th and flatted it. And I never would voice it this way, but I'm showing you what these sounds will sound like. So composers take advantage of not only the tension in the dominant chord, inherent tension, but they'll take advantage of chromatic movement to twist that chord up even tighter. And the tighter you twist it up, the more satisfying the resolution is. Now you can do combinations. So let's say you did a sharp 5, flat 9. So here's our shell. Here's our 5. So sharp 5. Where's the 9? There's a 9. So we did a sharp 5, flat 9. Let's do both of them. And it resolves nicely to C. So we did that. You can do any combination. You can do a flat 5, sharp 9. So that would be this. Ooh. Now again, don't get tricked by how these dominant chords sound by themselves, because they sound ugly. I mean, they sound tensioned. That's a better word. So remember that it's the 5, the 9, 5 and 9 more often, and sometimes 13 as well. Those three notes can be altered to give up all kind of combinations. Okay, enough theory. Let's get some voicings we can go to work with. Now, hopefully you've done your minor chord workout, right? So you know how to play a C minor this way or this way. How about a D minor? So let's say that's your 2 chord, D minor. There's a D minor 9. You've done your workout on that last couple days. Don't trick me now. You did your workout, right? Right? You can play that. You played that 50 times, right? If you're in this position, right? All you got to do is shift your bass note to G and move this note down 1. You're going to be in this position. So that's a hand position you want to know. So really, you're learning this from what you already know. So here's your D minor. Drop your thumb. That will yield a G13. Right? Now, if it were me, I'd work that out by itself first. you know how we do. We work that all around different surfaces. So this D minor looks like F major. If you're in this position, it's your third finger that's got to move. Wherever that C is, got to move. Now that right, that is a grip or a hand position or a muscle memory position you want to know. Let's take it here. Did you see that's the same intervals as this is? So once we have that, put your left hand in your pocket, right? Take that up, take it down. You know how we do. Take it up, take it down, take it up again. Now take it up again. Take it down. Okay, something went down the wrong way. This is your workout stuff. Now, before I go too far with this workout, how did I come up with this? If I change one note, look, I got a C major chord, right? I take the fifth and of that and flat it. I got my position. So the first thing you want to do is learn that position in 12 keys. So there it is on C, here it is on D flat, here it is again. Up and down, you know how we do. Here it is on E flat. And F. Okay, F sharp. Now, things to notice about this, let me hold this one just for a second so you notice some things. From the top to the bottom is one short of an octave. It's like a major 7th position. And this would be a G flat major 7. There it is, except for, remember the 5th, I flatted that. So go, if you can't find one, play what you do know. Play a major 7, flat the 5th, you got it. But eventually you don't want to have to do that. You want to just be able to go straight here. But you got to start someplace. So you say, I don't know G flat. Well, play G flat major 7, flat the 5th, you got it. Now let's go back down again. These sound funky, don't they? Okay, let's take it up. This one's a little tough because of just the hand position you got to get in. But we're going to work it. Remember, take them up, down, and up, 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 and then up here. Did I do them all? I think I did. Let's go down here. Same thing, only an octave lower. Oh, I started on C, didn't I? Okay. Now we're back where we started from. So how do you find this? How do you find this hand position? Well, you do a major chord, flat the 5th, you got it. Do this. D flat major, flat the 5th, you got it. So what does this hand position get me? So see this? Let's put an A flat under that. Aha. So what does my computer say? Augmented 7, sharp 9, right? I'm going to call that a C, A flat 7, sharp 5, sharp 9. And it wants to go to D flat minor. that you already worked out on. So let's get that in a key that we can get our head around a little bit better. So let's do a D. Well, I haven't shown you that. Just take my word that that's a D minor 7 flat 5. Now let's put this grip onto it. That's a G7 sharp 5 sharp 9. And it wants to go to C minor. We have just played a 2-5-1 in minor. But this G7 can go to major as well. So let's say we saw a song that it said 1-6-2-5. I got rhythm kind of song, a circle kind of song. So we got a 1, we got 1, to 2, and we want this. See how that tension, resolution. That's application for you. Now the workout is, let's see, maybe you're heading for A minor. Maybe, so what chord, what 5 chord would lead you to A minor? Well, E7 would. Well, here's our grip. Now that leads nicely to A minor or major. Well, that's an A7. So, back up, big Mike. Here's your so take your left hand away and learn this right hand. All the way around, how do you find it? Just play a major chord, right? Flat the 5, you got it. Here's a major chord, flat the 5, you got it. Here, and then now, just take it up, take it down. That's the workout. Now where do you put, what bass note do you put with that? Okay, so I'm going to play this on the E. Just like we did with major and minor chords, we're looking at the third of that chord. E, what's the third? A flat. Okay, now play that against an E bass. You have a dominant chord that is sweet. Now you can check me with all the voices. You can say, well, okay, that's the root, that's the third, that's the sharp 5, that's the flat 7, right there, flat 7, and here's the sharp 9. My computer's not agreeing with me, but we're smarter than that. But listen to how luscious that sounds. And that goes right to A minor. Now A minor should, if you don't know this chord, you got to go check the other video and do your minor chord workouts. Here. So we have, that's one way to do a dominant chord. So work that out. Okay, the other way is a lot easier. So if you're in a minor chord situation, I think I mentioned this earlier, just drop your thumb, right, with your bass note, you got a G13, right, minor, oops, minor, oh, so C minor to F7, want to play what we call a dominant sus chord, you don't have to change anything in here. So here's a C minor. Just move your bass and leave your right hand the same. Now resolve that, and that takes you to B flat major. Now it's easy to find that. Here's your, if you know your minors, and then you drop your thumb. So you found this F13 chord from a minor, and 99 out of 100, that's going to work for you. But what if you need that F7 without playing that? So you want to learn this from the third. There's your 13, flat 7, and there's the ninth up top. That's a voicing you want. So take your left hand away. Third, 13, flat 7, 9. So you want to pick that voicing up in any key. Now, the easiest way to do it is play the minor, drop the thumb, but pause here. That's the voicing you want. That's the F13. Remember I told you though, you can twist that up even more. So we have root, 3, leave that alone. Flat 7, this is a 13. You could have played a flat 13th there, let's try it. F wants to go to B flat, wants to go here. So that works. Remember I told you earlier that, let's try the 9. So we have a third, 13, flat 7. So these are your shell voicings. Here's a 13, here's a 9. Well, we can play a flat 9. Let's try that. Beautiful. We can play a sharp 9. We can go here. And that 2 will lead us. We can play a sharp 5, sharp 9. We can go here. That's the one we just worked out. Now, dominant chords can resolve itself to major or minor. It depends on how you kind of manipulate it. So here's this time we want to go to B flat minor. Maybe that wants to go to E flat 7. There's our drop the thumb. Here's an A flat. This is a good exercise. Drop the thumb. Let's do another one. Let's do, it's an E flat minor 9. Drop the thumb. You're going to get this. So let's find an exercise that we can work that drop the thumb thing out. So let's start on this C minor. Drop your thumb, you're going to get F7, F13. Let's go here, E. I'm just dropping my bass note down. E wants to go to A. Now, last time I was on E, let's go to E flat. Let's go D. Let's go to D flat. Okay, let's go to C. Half of them so far. Let's go to B. B flat. Let's go to A. Let's go to F sharp then. Oh, sounds like I did that. Alright, so let's go to F. And then we're back to E minor again. So I think I did all of them. Now you can tell if you didn't do your major and minor workouts, okay, you're kind of toasting this one because it relies on those two being under your fingers. When we get through a couple of more workouts, then we're going to start adding progressions. You know, I've hinted at a few 251s or 1625s. But before we go there, I really want you to have these chords cold. I mean, just on lock. I know that when I was first learning music, and trust me, I was an old man before I ever learned music. So this is really, I didn't start when I was 5. I didn't go to music school or whatever. But one of the things I would do is I would sit and play these exercises. And I've tried to persuade anybody, don't just run to songs. Songs are going to come. Okay, so I want to mention this before I sign off for today. In major chords, let's take, I don't know, let's stay with C. So in major chords, we play this or this. And all we did was trail along with our left hand. But as pianists, we're in different roles. So if we're in solo role, this will work. Maybe you played a 10. Beautiful, right? There are lots of low left hand patterns. Maybe I'll make a video about that. But our right hand is where we put the chord. But sometimes we gotta switch roles and play this chord with our left hand. Or this. Why? Because either we're going to be playing the melody, or we're going to be improvising. Let's say, let's see, let me see how fast I can pull this up without wasting everybody's time. So. Okay, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. So we were working on Fly Me to the Moon the other day with a good friend of mine, and we want to put that in the key of C. Got it. And so now before we do that, the chorus to that song is Fly to the Moon. I'm playing that rootless because it really is. And that's fine when you're playing solo piano. But if the band's playing and you got to improvise, well, you only have 2 hands. So you got to switch over and let your left hand take care of some of these chords. So the first chord, let's just do the first 3 or 4 chords. So we have an A minor to D minor. See, I'm playing it as if I got a, and then I'm going to drop this finger and here. So let's see if I can figure out how to loop that. Good. didn't loop. What's wrong with you? It didn't loop. What's going on? Okay, well, I gotta figure that out. So, anyway, you get the idea. Fly me to the moon. Let me live among the stars. So, here's my point that I'm taking too long to make. Sometimes you got to play these chords with your left hand and let the bass player take care of all that stuff down there. Because maybe you have to either play the melody, or you gotta improvise. 1, 2. I do know what to do. Okay, I was having too much fun. Okay, hold on. Computers are like that. Just having too much fun. Hold on a second. Anyway, just when you thought you were done and you did all that work here, right? Now you got to do the same work up here. Same work, major chord. Same kind of work. Now, when you're in this is a little bit more advanced, so this is for you ambitious folks. You want to voice lead these left-hand chords. For the most part, there's no hard and fast rules. So let's say I'm playing an E minor, but I'm thinking C. I can voice that here too, because I want to get that chord somewhere between here and maybe here. I want to get it in this area, right? So I'm going to find the inversion that puts me. So this works, and so does this. This one works. So let's take Fly Me to the Moon. So it starts on A minor. That's fine. Then it goes to a D minor. That's fine. That's within our landing zone, right in the sweet spot of the piano. I'm going to drop this finger and play a G7 or G13. So that's a D, 2, 5, and then a 1. So that's an exercise. So you probably don't want to play this unless you want that effect. I mean, we played that with our right hand. Dramatic stuff works in solo work, but when you're comping, you're gonna be bumping into somebody. You're gonna be bumping into the singer. You're gonna be bumping into, and you don't want to bump into the bass player either. So you want to kind of keep it cool. Punch. Okay, so that's a little bit of extra credit. So whatever you learned in same with minor chords. Here's your C minor. I say, well, I'm at the runway. I'm at the high end of my landing zone, so I might play that here. So let's play a C minor chord. Let's just put a little beat on it. Any old kind of beat. Let's try that one. And what scale goes with C minor? Let's say I'm improvising. Okay, so now my right hand is in the gym. My right hand is doing the work. I'm not playing the song. I just play that C minor. And I said, okay, well, I need. Actually, I'm thinking E flat major in my right hand, but my left hand is thinking C minor. So this is not a video on improvising, but it does show that sometimes I got to get these chords out of my right hand and put them in my left hand for some reason. It's a good way to learn all of your scales. So let's say I'm on the 2 chord. This 2 chord, right? Let's say I'm on this 2 chord. So now that's the 2 chord of D flat. Remember, in our workouts we went bass player and this. This time we're gonna do all of that with our left hand and. In other words, don't skip any of these workouts. Now, you don't, let me just say a word and I really am out this time. This video is getting a little long. So, you don't want to spend all your time in the gym. You do want to play songs and you do want to play, but spend some of your practice time doing these workouts. Associating, this is mental work as well as muscle memory work. So if you know how to play this or this, then next step is now cover that with your left hand. That frees your right hand up too. So if that's the 2 chord, play the mother key. That's the 2 of something. That's the 2 of D flat. Just play the mother key. Okay, so that's a couple of ways to get to a dominant chord. One more way to do it, and I don't want to withhold this from you, is if you're playing a G7, here's a G. If you go up to the third, or up one half step, and then you play a diminished chord there, you're going to get a G7 flat 9 sound. So you can, how you want to think of this? You want to think of this off the flat 7, off the flat 9, off the third, or off the 5. Doesn't matter. You're going to get the same diminished chord. And I don't know why there are not 10,000 subscribers to my channel, because it's all free for you. Because somebody helped me out when I was learning. And so the point here is take your bass note up a half step and then play a diminished chord. That'll give you a G7 flat 9 sound. Let's try that with a 2-5-1. So now I've given you 3 or 4 ways to handle this beast called the dominant chord. Take each one individually to the gym and work it out. So here's your diminished. Okay, Mike in Detroit, happy practicing, happy working out. If you have any questions, you know the drill. Put it in the comments down below. Let me know how these workouts are working for you. And I don't care what kind of music you play. You play jazz, you play gospel, you need these requisite bass kind of skills. Anyway, Mike in Detroit, happy practicing. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.